Hi again, YouTube. BearFoodJoe here. So as you know from my last episode, I've decided that I can't wait any longer before I start trying to hike the Appalachian Trail. Strangely, I continue to get older. My work is not going away. I'm not getting half a year off to go hike. So it's time for me to adapt. I'm going to start eating this elephant one section at a time. Oh, and I live 1,000 miles away from the trail, so there's that little problem to deal with. So the answer to the question about how you eat an elephant is, of course, one bite at a time. But where do you begin to eat the elephant? That's the question. So step one for me was to find locations which will lend themselves to me being able to start and stop on the trail and have access to transportation. I may need to fly in order to have more time on the trail. If I fly, I may need to pick up supplies before I get to the trail, like gas canisters. I may need to do a rental car, and I'm definitely going to need some shuttle help. So planning where to start and stop is going to be key. But there's a problem with planning that. I have no idea how far I can go. I need to figure out how far do I hike in a day, in a week, in 2 weeks. 8 days of hiking at 10 miles a day is a far different stopping point than 8 days of hiking at 20 miles a day. And honestly, if I'm going to practice taking those longer hikes, I'd really like it to be towards my goal on the trail. So what I decided I needed for this first trip was to plan a trip with multiple potential stopping points where I could get off the trail and be able to make it home. Given the current situation with flights, I figure I'm probably going to need to drive to my first trip, so as short a trip as possible to reach the trail is also going to be key. So, here we go. Drum roll, please. The trip number one for me is going to start in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, about the halfway point, and then I'm going to head north to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So I'm going to rent a car, and I'm going to drive about 13 hours to get within the vicinity of the trail, stop at a hotel close in so that I can get an early start the next day. I'll be beginning at mile 1025 with multiple goal points in my plan. So if I can do 15 miles per day, I figure I'll make Duncannon, Pennsylvania at mile 1149 in 8 days. If I can do 20 miles a day, I'll make it to Interstate 81 at mile 1185. And if I'm completely out of control, maybe I reach Port Clinton at mile 1219. So feel free to place your bets on how far a new hiker is able to go on their first time out on the trail. The logistics news here is that I did locate a shuttle service via the Guthook app, which can pick me up anywhere in that range and will drive me back to Harpers Ferry so I can get to my car. So a big shout out to Bloomer in Pennsylvania, who runs a shuttle service, and look forward to meeting you in person. And I'd also like to say shout out to Chief Ryan Levins and the National Park Service people in Harpers Ferry, who are making it possible for me to park my car at their facility during my trip. So that's the plan for trip one. Drive to Harpers Ferry, hike for 8 straight days, and drive home with the intent that I can be at work on Monday morning. Now, after I get back, I'll post a review, talk about the trail, the food, my gear, what I learned, what went wrong. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and advice as well as feedback, especially anybody who has insights about that section of the trail. Of course, I'd ask you to subscribe to the channel or follow my updates and like the videos. You can also follow along on Instagram, where I'll post some in-progress updates, assuming I have cell coverage on the trail. So, can he do this? Or is he going to live up to his name and end up bear food? Let's find out. Stay tuned with me. I'll be on the trail in a couple of weeks. And until next time, I'm BearFoodJoe. Hope to see you on the trail.